Hello and welcome in to another episode of Tater Talks, the podcast where Tater talks gaming, content creation, sports, pop culture, current events, and whatever the hell we want. I'm your host, Taterboy09. I'm a variety content creator who streams 4 days a week right here on Twitch, post videos to YouTube, including this podcast, and highlight videos. We have a first on the podcast tonight. Our guest is a musician who just started producing his own music and putting them on YouTube. He's also doing his first live performance tomorrow. Please welcome in singer-songwriter Joshua Carter. What's up, buddy? How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. Never done a podcast before, but anything with you, I'll take a stab at.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good start. It's like the line's coming. Don't screw it up. Don't screw it up. And he nailed it. Good job. Good job. There's a bit of a background on that. We can tell a brief story about that. So Josh and I are in a fantasy football league together, and there's just this big meme about stabbing me. I don't know why. It's not a fetish either. I don't know. They just maybe it's a fetish for them. I don't know. I don't know.
You got to stab Thanos, right, to stop him from becoming too powerful.
That's right. That is my quote unquote nickname, is Commissioner Thanos. So either that's a good thing or a really bad thing. Who knows? I don't know. But welcome in. Good to have you. Good to have you. We've been friends for a long time. I'm going to say a long time, right? Because, after like high school, times just seem to last longer.
Blur together.
Yeah. So I'll say we've been friends for a long time. It's good to have you on the show. I know we were kind of having some conflicting time frames there where, you would be out doing a lot of really popular big shows that you're running out to, and with all your music and being famous and stuff like that. And it just didn't quite work with Tuesday Night Podcast. But hey, we made it work.
Yeah, we're here. I'm excited. Let's go.
We made it here. So let's talk about that for a little bit. And really, I mean, that's, what we'll probably talk about a lot. So how long, let's give a brief overview of what your music is.
So mostly for the longest time, I didn't have any sort of setup. I didn't have any equipment. I just had one guitar. So my style mostly just became acoustic, doing anything acoustically with no. I've never even played in a band before. I probably have the most white boy rhythm ever. I could not play with other people, but mostly acoustic stuff. And over the past couple of years, I finally got to the point where I felt comfortable enough that I started learning some music software, developing some other tricks of the trade, a little bit of piano, and finally started recording my stuff and putting it together. But at the heart of my music, it's mostly just acoustic. One guy singing and a guitar, and that's mostly it.
Go subscribe to him on YouTube. There it is.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, of course we're gonna make sure we shout everybody out here. But yeah, no. So it's just you and a guitar. That's what it comes down to. I think that's where at least a lot of people start out, which is it's a good place to start, because not only can you write your own music, I don't want to say this is like a negative thing, but there's like nobody else that you have to like be in charge of, basically. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like you can just write a song and it's yours. It's not somebody else that like maybe they'll change it up a little bit and you don't really like the way that they play that or something. Whatever the case may be, it's yours.
Yeah. Yeah, I spent many hours in my room alone playing anything and everything that I thought was fun to play. And people are, oh, you're so good, and you're this and that. And it's like what they don't see is the hours and hours that you spent alone in your room practicing before you felt comfortable even getting in front of somebody.
Right, exactly. Especially now that you've been actually putting it out there on YouTube and want to take this pretty seriously.
Yeah, just sort of had a revitalization over the past couple of years. It's been something I've been wanting to start doing, and just lately this summer here, I felt a kick again, and I knew that I had an idea in my head of how I wanted to accomplish something. My song "Broken Girl," and I knew that in order to get it done the way I wanted to, I needed to record it. That I would not be happy just playing it on my guitar. So I decided to subscribe to Pro Tools. I've only used GarageBand before, and Pro Tools was a whole new world. But from the time I started writing Broken Girl to the time I published it on YouTube was like 4 days. And in that time, I taught myself the very basics of Pro Tools, got it recorded and put out. And now I listen to it, after about a month and a half of using Pro Tools. I definitely found some things in there I could improve upon for the next couple of times, but it's all a learning process. It's just a lot of fun. I'm having fun with it. I'm gonna keep trying, keep going, and see how many I can get out.
That's the most important thing. It's right there is having fun with it. I honestly, everything you're kind of saying, I don't want to like take it over too much, but it's kind of translates to what I've been doing for the podcast, or like video editing in general, something that I've been very into lately. And yeah, it's just something that is very rewarding. Like, sure, maybe like I created a video from when I kind of did like a soft relaunch of the channel back in January. And if I look back and watch it now, I cringe. Like, it was just not very good. But I loved it because I spent a long time on it, and I spent a lot of time putting it the way I wanted to. But the thing is that you can, just because it was good at one point doesn't mean it can't be better in the future. And you can't be proud of everything as it moves forward. So
Yeah, absolutely. Like some of the earlier songs I recorded that I put on YouTube about a year and a half ago or so, I recorded those with GarageBand. My ability to record something and just overall general knowledge was just completely lacking. But now that I've gotten to a more powerful program like Pro Tools, my dad asked me, he's like, "Are you going to re-record your other songs?" And I was like, "I don't think so. I like the way they turned out. It's nostalgia now, and those are the original versions. And I'm going to leave them for now. And maybe someday I'll re-record them. But for now, like you said, it's looking back and just enjoying it and moving on to the next project."
long time ago, young Tater in high school used to write poetry a lot. And there's still some videos you can see out. You can find them out there. Young Tater doing stand-up slam poetry. They're out there. I'm not gonna find them for you because you guys can search yourself. But one thing that I used to like to do with that was I used to like to write in pen, because pen you can't erase. Pen is there forever, whether it's ass or whether you like it or you can work something from it. Pen doesn't go away, and I always used to like write in pen just because of that fact. Is like, even you can't just forget about what an idea was, or maybe something you didn't necessarily like. You can always come back to it. I don't know why I just remembered that, but very young Tater. Loved to do poetry back in the day.
You'll have to do a podcast where you do some of your poetry.
I have not done it in so long. I might stream. I know where the videos are. I might stream a video of it, but that's about it. It's about the extent of what was recorded back in the day. But long time ago. Real quick here, shout out to JB Huskers in the chat. Thank you for the Prime sub, 4 months in a row. Hope you're having a good day. Thank you for everybody who's here tonight as well. This is a very ever since we started the podcast, it's been a great turnout every episode. So appreciate everybody. And actually, our guest tonight has seen pretty much every episode as well. That's his fun little fact. Did you guys know that Phoenix in chat is such a talented human being?
I wouldn't know if I would say I've watched. I definitely would say I creeped on every podcast.
Hey, that's all that matters. If you can't say minute 32 of episode 7, you're dead to me.
I had to go back the other day when you had the sports one, because I can't remember what everyone had said. It was either Mahomes gets more or less than 35 touchdowns. And I think Blake was the only one that said more. I went back and I watched probably 15, 20 minutes of that podcast trying to hunt down that one moment.
Yeah, the NFL predictions one was like 2.5 hours too. So I want to do an episode, like a postseason episode or something like that, where you talk about how wrong we were. But 2.5 hours is a lot to sift through, just speaking generally. So let's go back to music here. So talk me through the process of, let's say, writing the song, because before you can even start producing it or anything like that, you want to actually have something written and
Sure.
something created musically. So talk me through that process. Is something that you've just had, songs that you've just kind of always had in your head that you're just now putting down, or are these ones that you've actually taken the time to sit down and practice and create?
So to start from the very beginning, some people sit down and can write a song. I am not one of those people. I will be just sitting around messing around, and I'll just happen to pick something, and I'll be like, I like the way that sounds, and I'll just keep messing with it until the next piece appears to me of the song. And that's sort of how most of my songs go. I usually write when I get the itch when I find what I like, it usually takes me 3 or 4 hours to finish a song, start to finish. Broken Girl, started off, I was driving in my car thinking about it. And I was just thinking, wow, that person is just a really broken person, you know, a broken girl. And then the pieces just all started coming together as I was driving to work. And I thought about the whole time I was at work. I got home and wrote probably half of it in an hour or two and got kind of stuck. Woke up the next morning and immediately found the other half of the song, started putting it together. And I was like, well, here we are. But I hear a piano in my mind. So I immediately was like, well, now I got to get my little MIDI keyboard, which is like a quarter of a piano. So everything that I'm playing on all my songs is like a little quarter piano. And as I'm playing, I have to do like the octave up and down button so I can get to the higher notes. And I need to get a full size piano. But yeah, start to finish, that's kind of how I go on that. But you just got to let it come to you. I think too many people try to force something. Like I'm going to sit down and write something, and I've never been able to write that way. Like I said, most of my songs have only taken me, 3 or 4 hours total. But one of the ones I have on YouTube, my most viewed ones, is called Burn. That song was the opposite. It took me about 2.5 years to finish and went through several iterations before I finally got to where I was like, this is what I want. And finally got it put down, and it was like, there it is, it's done. I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's not in the back of my mind, always just eating at me like I need to finish it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Because I think you make a really good point there, is that with any sort of content, you can't just sit down and be like, all right, here's my dedicated time to do this. It has to come to you. You have to always be constantly thinking about how you can create, right? It's kind of like a switch you don't ever want to turn off, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not a very good guitarist, nor am I a very good vocalist, but one of the things I think I do well is I'm genuine with my music. When I sing or play my guitar, there's a lot of emotion and passion that comes over, and I think it covers up from some of my other flaws and makes up for the rest of my inability to be what I would consider a really good musician and singer.
I don't like you selling yourself short, that's for sure.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
We're gonna have to play one of these to end tonight, to end the stream when we're sitting at the closing screen here, because everyone's gonna want to hear it. You don't have to play it live. We'll play a song. Don't worry, on the YouTube, but we're gonna have to play something out there because it's, in my opinion, I love everything you've written. I think that it's not really my style of music, but it's still just I think it comes from me knowing you and knowing the emotions of what the songs mean. So, but plus also they're just really good, in my opinion. just period, end of story. And I know that you put a lot of work into them, so obviously,
yeah,
I love them all.
Do kind of one funny little thing about recording. So I'm still learning the whole recording process and how to do things correctly. Even something as simple as putting like an equalizer as your first preset on your vocals, because then it affects everything else. Oh. But one of the things I struggled with was I have a headset that I listen to everything on, and it'll sound great when I do my final take. I'll listen to my headset, and then I would load it up onto my phone. I would walk out to my car, and I wouldn't start my car, but I would just turn it on, and I would listen to it through my car speakers, and all the volumes be completely different. So I'd have to go back, load the song back up, and change the volumes, and then I'd go back out to my car. And my neighbor saw me one day, and he just stared at me as he was grilling. I just like looked at him. I was like, "Hey, I'm making music." And I just shut the car door and listened to the song again. Oh yeah, I was like, I'm not even gonna try to explain what I'm doing right now.
What I could potentially be doing makes less sense than what I could not potentially be doing. That's funny. No, that's great. I think that's great because it's also shows the dedication that you want to go into making this. Like, this is something that you want it to be perfect. You don't just want to put something out there and it just be a thing, right? You want it to be perfect, and you want it to sound as good as it possibly can be. Also, you got a great story out of it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's something else too about the whole perfection thing. Is that something I do always want to do? But I've had one of the pieces of advice that I've seen from a guy on YouTube that does this. He said, record everything just in case. He's like, I can't tell you how many times I'm working with somebody and they sing something slightly differently than they thought they wanted to, and it turns out way better. And I've done that with several things. So I always think I know how I want. Like one of my songs, Falling for You, I had a part in there where I would try to use my falsetto, and then after recording it and listening to it, I did one where I was going to try to do it like as like a back vocal. And then after I listened to it, I was like, no, I'm just getting rid of the falsetto. We're just going to use the backing vocal, make it the main track. And then that's what I ended up using.
There it is. So trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. And also just going on part of that, you're just not sticking with, like what you had in your mind. Sometimes you need to put it out there. You need to listen to it. You need to see what works and what doesn't. I think that's great. That's awesome.
Like Fallen for You, the one I just put out just about a week ago or so. I wrote that song 10 years ago. I was 21, 22, maybe even younger when I wrote it. And I'd sang it with the falsetto part for years. And then this is the first time I've ever done it differently. And I really liked it. It's interesting. I'll tell you that listening to a completed song that I've only ever played acoustically in my room and then listening to it now when it's done, it's a different world.
Yeah. You ever seen what was that, Josie and the Pussycats, where they like make their song, like they're like, here's what the raw sound of what your song sounds like, and then they put it through the whole, here's how we make it sound really good, and there it is. I assume it's some feeling like that, where it's like, oh my goodness, it sounds completely different, but in a good way.
I know I've never seen that movie, but I'm gonna have to now. It's got a interesting title.
It's from the comic books and the shows, like from a long ass time ago.
I know.
You trying to troll me right now? I don't like that. How dare you?
I'm trying to be professional here, Devin, but it's hard. I just see your face, and I just want to
give a little smackaroo. Yeah, I got you.
Well, you know how we are.
I do. So it's like we kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's move on to the next part. So you have the song written, spend about 4 or 5 hours, a few nights sleeping, get it all out there. You finally have the raw vocals, or you just have like, it written down, how you want to do it.
Yeah.
What's the next step? Like recording or what's the next step?
Yeah. Like, I think Broken Girl was kind of a different sort of take for me, because most of the songs I've had written or knew about in my head for, a long time before I ever put anything to recording. And with Broken Girl, I had just the acoustic and the vocals. So I'm still not used to playing that song. I'm going to try to play it tomorrow. We'll see what happens, but I'm still not 100% used to playing it. So when I start the recording process, the first thing I always do is lay down the guitar work, and you just get that out of the way, because basically at the heart of my songs, that's what it is, an acoustic guitar with vocals. So the vocals, that's easy to do. But especially if guitar bit is all like, it sounds like one take. If there's no obvious breaks in it, it's very difficult to record for me, because I feel like I need to play it the whole way through on one take. So once I have the guitar worked down and recorded, I'll usually do the lead vocals then. So basically I have the song as I would play it by myself. And then from there, that's when I decide to start messing around, maybe adding some backing vocals, or I'll get my little MIDI half quarter keyboard and start playing some piano bits in there. And I just take the bones of the song, which is, the meat and potatoes, the vocals and the guitar, and I just build from there. I have no idea how anybody else does it. I don't use a bass. I don't use any percussion, because like I said, I've got white boy rhythm. So when I record something, there's no way that you could put a drum beat to it, because I'm fast, I'm slow, and yeah, I don't stay on beat very well. I've tried using like the metronome on Pro Tools, and it just constantly, I can just hear it making fun of me, like, dude, just stop, just turn it off. Yeah. So I build the song from there, and then once I've got enough that I feel happy and comfortable with it, I'll go from there. But I also try to identify like the theme of the song. So with like Broken Girl, I want it to be me singing to a girl that, I hope that you get better, and I hope that, you accomplish things that you want in your life. And I thought about adding some like backing vocals and doing some dubs and stuff like that. But then I thought about the theme of the song was me, just speaking to her. So I didn't want to add backing vocals, and I didn't want to add any sort of dubbing. I wanted to just be one voice, as the song I believe should be. And then with some other songs, I add that kind of stuff, but I try to identify the theme of the song, what I'm trying to accomplish, what the feel is, and I kind of go from there. I think that helps keep it genuine, and it helps stay true to why I wrote the song.
Right. Yeah. Keeping a theme is a very, very big part to, anything you do. So when you're recording your guitar, how do you record that?
So, oh boy, I have no idea what it's called. It's like oh, some sort of audio box, like a MIDI controller, I think.
Yeah.
But I've got a microphone and everything, and I've got a little, I don't know what the cable's called. Like I said, I don't really know a whole lot about the musical equipment. I just know how it works. But
Just how it works. I mean, that's the most
yeah,
important part, right? Is,
I plug
this
into
chord does that, and that chord does this. That's all that
exactly.
matters.
I plug into this little box, and then I have like a little knobs and stuff, and I can adjust things from there. And then I plug that in, I route that into the computer. And from there, I'll open Pro Tools and tell Pro Tools, this is what I'm using as my input and outputs.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm probably the worst person in the world to ask about equipment and stuff like that. I just discovered the other day that the recording mic I use is only worth $50. So I guess that's, I guess it could be a good thing or a bad thing, if depending on how the rest of my songs turn out. But
Yeah,
seems to be doing well so far.
It's kind of the next step in the where you might want to take that is say let's get a little bit better of a microphone, but
Yeah, maybe some other a nicer little box thing. I'm gonna go into Guitar Center, but I need a new box thing, that connects the stuff. And
yeah. They're like, how about this? It's like, just take me over to the equipment. I'll point it out for you. I'll show you what it is. Just take me over there.
Like a little kid, like, no, that one, nope, little left.
I should have actually told. I have a microphone that I don't use anymore from when I used to play in a band. That
Really?
you could probably have.
Probably have. Is there some kind of like quid pro quo for this thing?
Yeah, you have to be on my podcast if you take it. Oh, wait. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Mission accomplished.
that was an alley-oop right there, wasn't it?
How about this? I'll borrow it, and then and then we'll go from there. How about that?
All right, sounds good. I have a nice stand too. I bought like a really nice stand like 3 days before we stopped playing music together.
Ooh.
So it's actually really nice. So
did you look at my stand, by the way, when you were over here last?
I did. I didn't want to like say anything because it works if it works. But yeah, there was a lot of tape that was holding together a microphone.
Let me just quantify that just a bit. I bought a stand for like a performance microphone, which is much lighter than my condensing microphone, and because of how long the I guess the crane arm is that sticks out, whatever you want to call it, telescoping arm, the boom. When I put the condenser mic in like where it's supposed to be, it just tips the whole stand over and falls. So my thought process was, if I move the microphone back further to the center, to the center of gravity on it,
right,
it won't tip. The problem is there's no way to attach it. So what did I do? I went and got some electrical tape, and I just taped it right on there. And I've got it facing towards me and stuff. I mean, it works great. I mean, I'm using it right now, so I think I'm mission accomplished.
Yeah, that's all that matters. To put it in visuals, if you're watching the stream, basically it'd be like if my microphone was taped right here, just like right there. But hey, if it works, it works. I'm sure that. Well, what was the band? Was it like Zeppelin from a long, long time ago when they were recording their first album? They like recorded it on a tape player with a towel over it to try and drown out some of the noise. Some band did that where they put like a blanket over a tape recorder in like the back of their room so that they could just at least get the raw data or like the raw recording from it, and then they would work it from there. But it was like first garage band recording of an album that was just from a recorder.
The things that they had to do back in the day, wash through vocals and things like that is just incredible, because I can load up Pro Tools and within 30 seconds I have basically the same setup that they have, the things that an EQ and compressor and things like that to take care of all those background noises. And you got to give those guys credit. They went through a lot to be able to make the music that they wanted.
Yeah, exactly. Not only that, but also just the amount of work that they had to probably put in to just do the effort, like to edit it and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's obviously, like, if you look at the videos of the new Queen movie, when they have the scene where they're in a recording booth with all the little dials and things like that, and they needed all of those things. And now I literally have my computer, a microphone stand, the little box thing, which I still don't know what it's called, and some cables and my guitar, and I can do everything that they can do.
Yeah.
Not as well, obviously, but
Right. But what they were doing is they were recording it the way that it needed to be recorded. They couldn't go in and edit it afterwards. So it was like, hey, we need to make sure all of these dials are in the right spot, or else it's gonna get, we're not gonna have what we want. And then they did that.
I like the or else. You just kind of let it hang.
Or else. They had to do it right, or else Bohemian Rhapsody would have never been made.
And what a shame that would have been.
That would have been a really, really sad day. Did you like Bohemian Rhapsody?
I did. I really did. And I remember my dad. So interesting fact. My dad was the person that got me into music. One of the songs that I can clearly remember always singing as a child with him was "More Than a Feeling" by Boston. And for whatever reason, that song always makes me think of him. But he's the first person that really got me into music. So I knew in Bohemian Rhapsody, because he and I always loved Queen, but I knew when that movie came out that I was like, I'm gonna have to see that with Dad. So we went to our little in Auburn, Nebraska, our little theater there, and as we were sitting down, I was sitting in the chair, and the movie was just getting ready to start, and I was just going. He's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm warming up my vocal cords." He's like, "Are you gonna sing?" I said, "Dad, everyone's gonna sing." And everybody did sing. I mean, when the boom boom, everyone started doing it in the theater. It was like, this was like an interactive movie, which is, actually there's a scene in there bringing this full circle, where he's like, I want to be interactive with the audience, and he starts doing the boom boom. Yeah. So that's kind of something that stuck with me. And I talked to you this past weekend about me giving the speech at Blake's wedding. And I told you it's going to be a little interactive. Those are the exact words I used right from that movie. Lifted it right from it. Go ahead. Come sue me for copyright infringement. I don't care.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I don't think that Freddie Mercury is going to be doing a lot of suing these days. So,
ooh,
but
too soon.
Too soon. All right, yeah. I'm glad that people like that movie, because there was for some reason that movie got a lot of hate. I don't know if it was just because of the pedestal it was on or something like that, but I don't think a lot of people really cared for Rami Malek being Freddie Mercury, but I thought he did a great job.
He kind of looks like Freddie too. They were originally talking about using Sacha Baron Cohen for him. I'm not sure what his name is.
Yeah,
but he's like 6'4" and Freddie's like 5'10". Like it's not gonna look right.
Yeah. But I didn't know much about Queen, I'll be honest. And a lot of those songs, I was like, when they were playing them, I was like, oh, I didn't even know that was Queen. Like, I've heard the song before, but I didn't know it was actually Queen.
Who was the one who was talking about the crazy little thing called Love, and they thought it was an Elvis?
It was
cover of Elvis.
Yeah, we were talking about this weekend, but yeah, Blake said that too. But I always thought that was the case. Was a crazy little thing called Love? I was like, oh yeah, this is Elvis, right?
Yeah, it sounds a lot like Elvis' style. I think I read somewhere that Freddie did that specifically too, as like a tribute to Elvis. But yeah, you listen to that song, if you listen to other Elvis' song, you can definitely hear it.
Straight up. But yeah, I could have fooled me. Could have been a trivia question, Trivia Pursuit question. And who sings this song? It's like, and then plays it. It's like, oh, that's Elvis, easily. Boom! Bet my house on it. And then, whoops.
You better run that by the management first before you try betting your house.
Yeah, I don't have a house to bet yet, but a future house to bet, I guess. I don't know. Bet the house on red. It's always red, not black. But anyways, I don't know why people didn't like Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury, but I thought it was a great movie. I thought it was a good movie. I don't know how accurate it was. I don't know. Some of it felt like it was a little bit rushed, but they were also trying to cover 40 years of his life. So, but I liked it. I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah, I have not seen the Rocket Man movie. I feel like those two to me were kind of like different movies. Like Freddie Mercury or Queen, because it wasn't like a musical, I guess. I think from what I've heard more of the Rocket Man movie, it was more of like a musical. So I tend to kind of stay away from the musicals. I like the idea of they talk about Queen, their music, in the show, some concerts and stuff like that. But the concert is the music, and then band practice like that. But like Rocket Man, where it's like he's walking down the street and starts dancing, I guess. I don't know if that's exactly what happened or not, but that's what I feel like is happening. Like an impromptu sort of thing where not really, obviously not really what happened. I don't know.
Right.
I feel like that's the difference between me and those two movies. But no, I didn't. I don't know why people didn't like Queen. I thought it was spot on. I don't know enough about the story to say if it's true or not, but I thought the movie was really good.
Yeah, and so did I. Just for Rocket Man, that would be an interesting idea for like a biography of a musical artist. Because if you would think about it, I mean, if let's just say Elton John's walking down the street, you know for a fact he's always thinking about music. So his whole life is kind of like a musical. So it's kind of an interesting idea for a movie, but it would have to be done pretty well. I never saw Rocket Man either, but I think that Bohemian Rhapsody did a great job of being a biography without making it weird.
Yeah.
For lack of a better word.
Yeah, I agree. But that's an interesting concept too, about always thinking about music. And I mean, you've known me long enough to know that I'm kind of the same way. How often do I break out in song lyrics or just start singing randomly,
I'm surprised you haven't already.
I'm holding back, but I got this twitch going. My eyes kind of getting a little fluttery.
He did the poo, poo, ch. It was instantly like, hunt,
yep,
sing it.
Yeah, it's that's another good point. Growing up, I always knew that I wanted to do something with music. It didn't take me long, especially with my dad's influence, with good classic rock and stuff like that. And for years, I asked for a guitar, asked and never got one. You'll never play it, whatever. When I was 19, I finally got a hold of an electric guitar. I didn't have an amp, so when I played it, it was super quiet.
Yeah.
But when I started teaching myself, I just went on, YouTube and looked up how people played things or tabs. I can't read music. I never have been able to, which is probably why I have such bad rhythm. But
some of the best musicians that have ever lived can't read music, so
there's still hope for me.
That. Yeah, there is. There is.
I taught myself tabs over the years, and eventually worked up to the point where I knew enough of some songs that there was bits about them that I liked. And for the first couple of songs I ever wrote, I could tell you the song where I kind of got an idea of how to play it from was from another song. Due to copyright reasons, I'm obviously not going to mention exactly which ones, but catch me in person, we might be able to talk about that. But
have that conversation offline.
Yeah, over the years, I slowly got to the point where I knew kind of which chords to string together and where. But when I turned 25, I went and bought a Taylor guitar, and it was a solid investment. We'll just put it that way. And I've used it in all my songs. It's the only thing I play anymore is just my acoustic Taylor, and have zero regrets about it. It's a fantastic guitar.
And Taylor's the really good brand, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Martin also makes really good ones.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I almost bought a Martin. I went in there expecting to buy a Taylor. I almost walked out with a Martin, but yeah, Taylor's, you can't go wrong with any of those brands. Taylor, Martin, even Ibanez. I really like some Ibanez's too, but if you buy a Martin or a Taylor, you're not going to go wrong at all.
No. Getting chat confirmation that those two are the best. I think UFO has a Taylor as well, so you guys should do a nice little collab there.
We've talked about it, but unfortunately, UFO thinks my guitar playing is a little bit of lacking. I have some vibrato issues to him, apparently.
Oh, saw that one coming from a mile away. From a mile away. Would you like to tell that story by chance? I probably
should. So, UFO and I have been friends for a long, long time, and we've talked about collabing, and we never really got around to do it, but I had a dream one time that we were playing guitar, and he straight up looks at me and he's like, I really like that, but could you add some more vibrato to it? And I just remember like being super upset with him in my dream. Like, what? You don't think this is good? So then after I woke up, I immediately messaged him and I was like, hey, jerk. And it's been a long running joke now for a real long time between us that my guitar lacks vibrato.
Just not quite enough.
Thanks for the setup though. That was a nice setup.
Yeah, it was definitely intentional. I'll just point that out there. I think that you made a funny point earlier. I should say, bring that up before I forget. How you learn to play on an electric guitar.
Yeah.
And if you've ever heard an electric guitar that's not plugged in, it does not sound good. I mean, let's just be honest. It does not sound good.
Hey, beggars can't be choosers, though. It was the only thing I had.
That's the thing, though. So, like, even if you were just learning, basically gaining muscle memory of what it feels like to touch a guitar, what it feels like to, move your fingers across, the board, whatever it may be. At least you got some sort of practice in, so that you knew by the time you're like, you're ready. I'm like, I'm ready. Let's go get a nice acoustic guitar, and let's make that our, basically investment going forward. That's great on your part. It's great.
I hear one of the things I've heard from people a lot is they ask me, well, how can I, I try to teach myself, or how can I learn? And honestly, what I tell them is, whatever it takes. If you want to play for 5 minutes or not at all, do what you want to do. And my advice too is to find a song that you really like. For me, it was "Wish You Were Here" by Pink Floyd. Really like that song, and if for any guitarist that's got a couple years under their belt, it's an easy song to be able to play and pull off. But I think that's one of the things that people get frustrated with. Is you think about trying to read music, you think about it's got to sound, perfect right away, and you get frustrated and you get, disappointed that it's not there, so you just quit because that's the easier thing to do. But if you pick a simple enough song and you just play with whatever it is you got for 5 minutes a day, after a month or two, you'll have that song down. And in 20 minutes, I can teach somebody that song enough that it sounds enough like it that it'll give you that boost of confidence. Like, hey, I can do this. That does sound an awful lot like how the song is. And you just got to find just that little bit, and you just got to hold on to it.
I think you said that perfectly. You need to find a song that you like and just try and learn it. And I mean, you're not, that's just kind of plain and simple what it comes down. In this day of technology, there's nothing that you can't learn just by a Google search or even just a YouTube search.
The resources are out there.
They are endless and limitless. Like you were saying, you just learned how to basically produce an entire song from bottom to top, or top to bottom, whatever. I don't know the phrase. You learned how to do that in basically just looking up YouTube stuff and doing it. I think that's awesome. I think that's great, the amount of resources that we have today. I mean, just like, even for example, on this podcast, I did a lot of things behind the scenes as well to learn how to video edit, do some thumbnails and stuff like that. I mean, just like basic stuff, and always be prepared to learn the next step. But most importantly, you don't need to learn how to, I think you said that perfectly as well. You don't need to learn how to read music to actually learn how to play a song.
My dad just recently started to learn to play guitar as well. And he and I mean, we like the same sort of music, but when it comes to playing it, I think we're about on the complete opposite spectrum. I enjoy the acoustic. He went out and got himself electric guitar with a foot pedal, a wah-wah, I mean, the whole get up. And the first song he chose to learn is Thunderstruck by AC/DC. And now, if you have a few years under your belt, that intro is manageable. Yeah. But to get it really good is obviously difficult. But that's the first song he went after. And I just said, Dad, this is what I tell people not to do. and he's like, just listen. And I was just like, oh, gosh, Dad. But after a bit, though, I will admit, he started to get it. But that's just because he's so stubborn and hard-headed that he just refuses to give up.
Right. Hey, sometimes that's what you need. Just be a little hard-headed and keep moving forward with it.
I'm gonna send this to him, and he's gonna be like, hey, I actually played that pretty good. Thank you very much.
It's like, yeah, we're just giving you a hard time. It is what it is. No, that's great though. I think that I don't know which one's more expensive, but I know for a fact from playing in, I mean, let's just be honest. It was a rock band we were playing in. I know that we could have easily dropped about 10,000 into amps, soundproofing, everything. We could have easily dropped 10,000 into it and just been good. Or not even good. That's just like a start, I
mean, I've seen Taylors that, some of the really top of the line ones are 2,000-3,000 just for a really nice acoustic. So you can get a Stratocaster and Fender. I mean, it doesn't matter which way you go, electric or acoustic. It's super expensive if you want it to be.
Yeah. Because even if you're playing acoustic, you'd still potentially, depending on what venue you're playing, you'd still potentially want an amp to get at least a little bit of sound out there.
Yes, for sure. Like my Taylor is acoustic electric. Like if you're just playing like in your living room, it's playing loud enough. But yeah, I do have a little plug-in that I'll use tomorrow when I play. But for sure. Do
they provide that? Like, do they provide a mic and a little amp there?
Yeah, they got so it's called the Down Under Lounge in Omaha off Leavenworth.
The
And
Down Under.
the Down Under Lounge. Yep. Wednesdays they do a live mic, and I went last weekend just to check it out. Really enjoyed the vibe. The people there were, really understanding because I haven't played in front of people on a stage in years. And the last time I actually played in front of a lot of people was at a wedding where I was hiding in the back. And that was about a year and a half ago. So this will be the first time in a long time that I've actually gotten up on stage in front of people. But they were so just, hey, get up there, do your thing. No one's going to judge you. Have fun with it. And that's really what I was looking for, is a vibe like that. So I decided to sign up. They've got a sound guy who will take care of all that, make me sound decent. I got a little mic. I'm going to bring my stool, actually. I don't know if they have a stool or not. I'm going to bring it just in case. Most people stand. I'm not quite there yet. I got to sit down to play my stuff.
Yeah, at least leave it in the car if they have one. You can
exactly
just leave it out there.
Exactly. Like, I'm not going to bring it in right away because some guy walks into a bar with a stool and he's like, "Yeah, I bring my own drinking stool. It helps keep me secure so I don't fall off."
Bring my own shot glasses too. Don't worry. A lot of those places do have just plug and play, which is really, really, really nice. That you don't have to mess around and fiddle with all that. It's just here, just plug in, play your music, and let's have a good time.
Exactly. If anyone's interested, 9:30 tomorrow, Down Under Lounge. I don't expect anybody to be there, but if you do,
9:30 p.m.
Yeah, act like you don't know me if I suck.
Walked up to you. Oh my God, are you Joshua Carter from the Tater Talks podcast? Wow.
Yeah, that's.
Oh my goodness, in such royalties company right now.
It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna bring my GoPro and I'm gonna film it. We'll see how it turns out. Just if for nothing else, and does I have some little bits there, but
you're gonna wear a GoPro while you're playing?
No. I'm gonna put it like on a table or something. But
there you go.
If anything else, it'll at least give me some feedback on my stage presence, if nothing else.
You can, well, I guess depending on what it is. I mean, you could always just potentially record it on your phone too.
Yeah, I thought about that, but I've got an Android. I've learned Apples are much better at that sort of thing.
Are they? Yeah, I guess that makes sense, wouldn't it?
They got a better camera on them, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, I really don't know.
I mean, that could be the case. Everyone's always nowadays is like, oh, Apple's better than Android. I'm like, I don't know. I've always had a Android, and I've never really felt a difference. But I've never had an Apple before. So
that's true. I won't buy an Apple, but I think their cameras might be better.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, Apple is just, at least the iPhones in general, are just slowly shifting what they look like to look like an Android. So I don't know. It's like, at least before they used to look at least slightly unique. Now they're just like, yeah, we're pretty much just copying Android top to bottom now. Hey, there's this new cool thing that Apple phones can do. I was like, Android's like, oh, we've had that. What? Yeah, like 4 generations. Like, we've already had that. Oh, okay. But this one's new. Like, yeah, new to you guys, not to us.
I had heard that Apple was getting sued for slowing their phones down. I thought that was really interesting.
Really?
Yeah, like they put out a new update that was designed to, as they put it, slow the phone down to make the battery last longer, which I guess makes sense from a business point of view. But people were thinking they were slowing them down on purpose and not really telling people, so that people would think my phone is old and slow. I guess I have to buy a new one now. And I was like, that is actually a pretty ingenious scheme.
Yeah, well, remember when technology used to not break after 2 years?
Yeah, that's what they designed phones for now. It's to last exactly 2 years. So as soon as you paid for it, now you got to get a new one.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Technology's wild, man. Always got to keep up with it. Speaking of which, I don't know if you plan on getting a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X or whatever the new one is coming out. But they're already all the pre-orders are already sold out. Just providing that news. Apparently it's actually the Series X is the sex box. So people are those pre-orders went on Amazon today apparently at 10:45 and they were already sold out by like 11.
I feel like it's how it is with everything now. When you try to buy something, like when I got my VR, it was like at 7 a.m. they're gonna go live. At 7:03, I had my order in because long story short, refresh button I guess wasn't working properly. But at 7:03, everything was sold out. It's like what? Why did I do this? Why did I do this? Why do they say, we're going to go live at 7 a.m. and then be sold out in 3 minutes? Like, is supply and demand here, people? Come on.
Right. Yeah. Let's think about that. I think that's a good. Let's talk about that for a second. So you did purchase a VR system.
Yes.
Which one specifically is it?
It's called the Valve Index. You can get it right through Steam. It's honestly, I played it at my friend's place one time, and it just absolutely sold me. It's getting to the point where 3D VR is almost where it should be. So the screen itself is placed on your head, and the weight, I mean, you've used it, doesn't really bother you. You hardly even notice it's there once you get into a game.
It's like wearing a
Um,
hat, basically.
yeah, like wearing a hat. It projects at 2K resolution and can go up to 120 refresh. I usually leave around 90. That's usually plenty. But I mean, it's as smooth as any computer game that you play with your screen. I've got a little setup in my basement, a little 10 by 10 area, and the controllers work fantastic. Really, really fun. Like we brought it out one time, and everyone played this archery game where you get to shoot these little
Yeah,
these little minion people.
the Archer
And
game.
John UFO broke an absolute sweat playing it, having such a good time. He did break my record, but I broke it back. I just want to point that out. But anyway, the record's back. It's mine.
For the record.
And I'm hanging on to it. But it's honestly, it's an incredible piece of technology. And I bought it just for the purpose that it hopefully to keep it going. I've always wanted to play. If you've watched Ready Player One, we're not there yet, but we are getting so much closer every single day.
Yeah, it really is insane. It's so this is one where you have the goggles on, or the was it the Oculus basically is what it is.
Yeah, I think this one actually has a wider vision. I think like the Oculus will do like 90 degrees of visual, and I think the Index will do 110. So it's much more feels like you're there. Another weird thing is if you fall in a game, like when I fall, you're not falling at all, but it's so good at tricking your brain to thinking that you are, that when you hit the ground in the game, I feel tingles in my feet running up my legs because it's tricked my brain into thinking I was actually falling.
Yes, it really is quite a masterpiece when you actually put it on. You get in there. The system that Josh has is one that is like you have to put cameras up in the corners of your room because it has to censor you. It's like, hey, here's this box. You cannot leave this box on the ground, otherwise, you're gonna start. It's not gonna pick you up, basically.
Yeah,
and you're probably gonna run into your buddies or start hitting things, stuff like that. So it's like, don't leave this box. But it really is quite ridiculous how if you look down, like you are in virtual reality at that point, and you can look you think about, maybe this is kind of maybe a bad example, but there used to be like games at like the arcades where you'd like put your face into it and you like shoot it and like turn around and stuff like that. This is completely free form and completely open and everything. It really is quite magnificent. Hashtag not an ad, but could be. It really is amazing how this piece of technology has honestly changed the game for for years to come. They just need to make it a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, bringing it out to parties and stuff like that, and just having people take turns. The controller life battery is 4 hours. So he was talking about the camera. So the headset connects actually into my computer, and it's Bluetooth to the controllers and also to those cameras that he was talking about. And so the cameras will tell the headset where it's positioned, the telemetry in real life, and it will also detect the controllers in their position. It relays all of that back to the headset. The headset sends it back to the computer. The computer generates the image around you. And it sounds like a lot, but it is literally, once you get in there and you start looking around, like Google Earth is incredible on the VR because you can make yourself as tall as Godzilla, or you can make yourself a normal person, and like walking through the building and stuff, or walking even down the street in Google Earth is just incredible.
Yeah. And you have those like little hand things that you stick their controllers, basically you stick your hands in them, and
there's little pressure sensors as well. So if you have let's say you have one particular finger up and the rest of them are down, it will project that. Which is the first thing everybody always does.
Basically, yeah, okay. It's like start flipping everybody off in VR. Mm-hmm. It's like look at this brand new technology, just released, never before seen. And instantly, the first thing you do is start flipping off your buddy. Sounds about right to me. So I don't know. I know you're not big into like the Resident Evil games, but Resident Evil 7 was a game that specifically came out for the PlayStation VR, and it's on Steam. So I wonder if that is one that you could play with that system.
Yeah, I know that Doom 2016 had a VR that was capable of playing on the VR
That
or on your
sounds
PlayStation.
terrifying.
So there's two different modes of travel. One's called teleport, where you kind of just point the VR system where you want to go, and it just loads it up around you. I hate that. I prefer to use my stick and move like I'm actually moving. Now, your legs don't move in real life, but you get used to it. But
Yeah.
in 2016 Doom only had the teleport system, which I think would be super hard to play that game. But
Yeah.
I also think trying to move around and jump would also be super hard because you'd get sick real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. So it does definitely play a trick on your mind where you're not moving, but your brain tells you. Your brain's like, wait, we're not moving, but we are. So I'm kind of confused. And then, like, we were talking about it last weekend too, where even Blake was like, just like, it was fine, it was fine, it was fine. And then it just hit him. And he's like, I have to go lay down.
You build up a little tolerance to it. It's like, seasickness and stuff.
Yeah.
The other really nice setup we have is my roommate and I just finished building an entire racing rig. We went we went to a junkyard and we pulled a seat out of a car, and then we took the rails off it as well, welded up a little frame, put a steering wheel on it and some pedals, and it's a totally adjustable seat. And we have a racing game we play on it. And it's a lot of fun too. But that one will get people sick if they're not used to it. But I've had it for several months now. I never get sick anymore. I've built up enough tolerance to it. But for the newbies, it definitely will get you.
Yeah. Even the arrow, the bow and arrow one that I was playing with wasn't too bad. I could still feel a little. I a long time ago when I was just first starting to play like FPS games on like PlayStation 3, like a long time ago, I was even sometimes that would get me motion sickness. So I feel like I've come a long way with just like playing FPS games all the time now. So that did kind of get me a little bit, but once we got into the Star Wars one.
Oh yeah,
which one was that? As soon as we got into the Star Wars one, which was basically kind of, it looked to me like it was like a Half-Life mod or something like that.
Yeah, Blade and Sorcery with the Star Wars mod. Yeah, that one.
I started moving around and I was like, nope, I'm good. Just took it off. I was like, I can't do this. It looked great though, because like that one you could just, it was like, here's a book of weapons, and here's lightsabers and sticks and stuff like that, and here's just hordes and hordes of enemies. Just fight them.
It's really hard to try to explain this to people without us just sounding crazy. Like, there's a book, and then there's lightsabers, and there's bad guys. Okay, really?
It's kind of like, well, to me, it's kind of like the first scene, the first like part of the Matrix when they start to go into the Matrix. They're like, here,
I need some guns.
Guns, lots of guns, and then just like swarms of guns come out. It's a great movie, by the way. We should watch that sometime. Just saying.
Do a Matrix stream.
So
probably copyright issues on that.
The Twitch does allow people to do watch parties for if you have Amazon Prime streaming now. Like as long as you watch something on there, you're good. So
good to know.
It was very interesting. I don't know. I've been trying to plan so like I could watch The Boys with people streaming, but been so freaking busy all the weekends and stuff like that.
There's some really weird parts in that show. Like,
I haven't seen season 2 yet.
I haven't seen it either, but I remember season 1 where there was just some bits in there where I was just like, this is weird.
It's a little weird, but
it looked really good.
It's really good. It really takes the I think that show came out at a perfect time. It was right after a lot of the Avengers hype calmed down.
Yeah.
Because it was right after that movie came out. And then they're like, hey, guess what this would look like if in a real life society? And I was like, that's an interesting take. I think it was great. One of the podcasts earlier, we did a long time ago, we did like a top 5 favorite cinematic sci-fi shows. And thinking back to it, if I had been smarter, that would have actually probably been my number 1. But I wasn't thinking properly.
Top 5 non-sci-fi shows?
No, it was top 5 sci-fi shows.
Oh, shows.
Yep, just shows. It's like we talked about like Game of Thrones and basically like nonfiction.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Excuse me. It was a good one.
Firefly. That's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah, that was kind of a honorable mention consensus type one, but
Yeah,
I don't think that was on my list, but I've never seen Firefly.
Really?
I saw, what was the movie that they made? Serenity?
Yeah, I heard that. I've not seen that one. If you know the show, you'll know why. But
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. Or I saw the movie, I did not see the show. So
yeah,
it's kind of wild. Kind of wild. Well, what else do you want to talk about? We're about ready to wrap this up here. So I guess this would probably be a good time to actually start to wrap it up and plug yourself. I mean, we've been talking about the music the whole time, sure. That's, but is there anything you'd like to plug? Any Facebook, any sort of, I mean, I'll get the YouTube again here.
Deb and I were discussing that I need to get a Twitter account, so that'll be probably something I'll get in the future. But no, really, just the YouTube thing. And if you guys want to check it out, I try to post a song once a month on there. If the show goes well tomorrow, I might post some live stuff. But
there you go.
All the songs I'm going to play tomorrow are on YouTube. I'm going to try to not play anything until I get a finished version out first. But so the set list actually will contain one cover tomorrow. I've got a thing for 80s covers. Someone asked me one time what my guilty pleasure was, and it's 80s acoustic covers. I've got about 4 or 5 of them that I do. Melt With You by Modern English is one of my all-time favorite songs. I've put together a pretty good cover, I think, of it. So I'm going to start off with that tomorrow, and then I will do Burn, followed by She, and I'll end with Broken Girl.
I like that. Just from knowing those songs. I think that's to start off, it's always that weird when you're creating a set list. Do you want to play a song that everybody knows to get everybody amped up, or do you want to play the song everybody knows at the end to leave a lasting impression? That's where that gets a little weird. But I think starting at the beginning, especially if it's your very first time, you definitely want to play your most comfortable song or one that you feel the most comfortable in.
Sure. That's why I decided to go with exactly why I went with Melt With You. It's a song that I think everybody should know. Yeah. And then once they hear my version of it, they'll be interested to hear the actual rest of my stuff.
People will know it. People know it. Especially just me knowing it by name. People will know it for sure. Have you ever considered putting your music on SoundCloud?
Oh yeah, that's another one. I gotta do some research onto that one. I probably will at some point. Then I've only got 5 songs out on YouTube right now. I may want to get maybe 1 or 2 more. I'll consider it, but definitely thought about it. And I just gotta quit being so old and get into all these things and start learning about them.
Well, I can tell you right now, SoundCloud is great. That was the first host website for the podcast, and I loved every second that we used it. So I highly recommend it. It's not really a podcast website, so that's why I switched to like an actual podcast host website. Yeah. But like even when I first started doing, you get 180 minutes of free stuff to just download or upload, whatever it is. Okay. So you can upload basically 3 hours of music for free.
Yeah.
And then, so obviously that didn't work too well with the podcast. It's weird. Episodes. But you can go to like the pro if you want to, and then you can basically get unlimited for a month and stuff, unlimited uploads per month. But it's really great because you can go on there and it tells you how many views you've gotten on it or how many listens you've gotten, how many people have liked your stuff, and they'll like give you a pretty good analytics breakdown even for not paying for it or anything like that. And I will always give SoundCloud a major plus in my book, because when I first started doing this, I put it on there and I paid for the first month, and I was like day 27 of 30 before I switched over to a different hosting platform. And they refunded me every dollar I'd ever paid into them within that. I was probably within like a first, hey, try your first month free, or try your first month. If you don't like it, then cancel it. They gave me everything back, and they didn't need to do that. We were like 3 days out from a new billing cycle, and they did not need to do that, but they did that. So I will always give SoundCloud a nod. Also, you can be a little meme and say, hey, check out my SoundCloud. That was my favorite part of having SoundCloud.
Yeah, so the musicians, when I was at the Down Under, said that, like, hey, check out my SoundCloud. And I was like, oh, what's that? I didn't say it out loud. I didn't want people to like look at me, but I was like, you want to come play next week and you don't even know what a SoundCloud is? Like,
this fucking guy. So yeah, no,
don't let him on the stage. Get him out of here.
Yeah. Just tell him we're busy next week, even though your schedule's empty. No, That's funny. That's funny. Now so if you need any help with that, let me know. I can.
Yeah, for sure.
You definitely would probably want to get a. You said you were getting commissioned a new logo, so you'd probably want to wait for that to be done. But
yeah. Shout out to old boy Kendall, helped me out with that.
That's right. That's right. The guy who does all the artwork for this channel is now stepping into the wonderful world of music. That's right.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. We'll see what he comes up with. I have full faith in him.
I'm sure it's gonna be badass. All right. Well, once again, thank you for being on the show. I appreciate you. I think we had a lot of good conversations about music in general, content, everything,
Absolutely.
So appreciate you being on the show. Any final words?
No. Shout out to Blake getting married this weekend.
That's right.
I
Next
lost
weekend.
him purposely in both our fantasy leagues to help him out, make him feel better.
Yeah, you got to boost up his confidence. Not to take anything away from you, but I play you this week in our league.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let me ask you something, Devin.
What?
Which one of my songs is your favorite so far?
I'd have to listen to your two newest ones again, but I think that I like Broken Girl the most.
Okay.
Although Burn was really good too.
Thanks. Yeah, I think those two are probably. Yeah, it's always weird. That's just real quick here. That's something I always find interesting when I ask people like, which of my songs is your favorite? I've had so my dad really likes Wild Beautiful Mess. I've had a few people say She. You like Broken Girl. A bunch of people really like Broken Girl. I think it's probably my most complete song. And then I've also had other people tell me that they really like Burn, and even a couple people say they liked Falling for You. It's always interesting. I always ask, what do you like about it? Because I always think it's people that I would not expect to pick certain songs will pick them. I always think that's interesting.
I will just tell you plainly, one of the reasons why I like Broken Girl so much is because I could tell that you put a lot of effort into it. Not just writing the song in general, but also the editing that you put into it. And that was like one of the first things that I noticed.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I think that just that in general just makes me like it even more. And then you open up the song and here I am bawling my eyes out 2 minutes into the 4.5 minute song.
Thank you. I think it is my most complete work. A lot of little things went into it. And
yeah,
I think that I'm maybe really excited to keep going. So I'm going to keep trying that. Thank you for everybody who checks out my channel. Of course, subscribe to your boy Tater Boy 09 if you can. And I guess I'll talk to you guys next time.
That's right. And don't go anywhere. Once this podcast is over, we're going to play this as the outro song. So make sure you stick around. But yeah. All right. Once again, thank you for being on the show. I'm going to go ahead and mooch you here in Zencaster. Do my little sign off here. So everybody, thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Please go subscribe to Josh's YouTube channel. And also, I'm just going to throw this out there for all of ours as well for the podcast. I just typed in chat all of the links. That's the link to Buzzsprout, which is our host website. Shout out to Buzzsprout. They're also amazing. Twitter. I have the podcast has their own Twitter now. I'm sure you follow that. Subscribe to YouTube. And if you use Facebook, go give us a follow there as well. For anybody who doesn't know as well, today is National Voter Registration Day, so don't forget to register to vote for the election coming up here. That's my final piece for tonight. And this is, of course, TaterBoy09 signing off, reminding you a minute spent in this chat is a wasted minute. So let's make it a damn good time. I hope that you had a damn good time today. Thank you.